respond. No, thank you so much, Daphne, for your time. We really wanted to chat to you about, this load shedding crisis that we're having as a country, and many South Africans out there who are watching this, particular video interview, really want to know, how big or how serious is the problem when it comes to load shedding.
Yeah, as you would know, Stephen, we are on load shedding stage 6. So clearly, and this is one of, obviously, one of the stages that we really wouldn't want to expose our, public to. And unfortunately, because of the, shortages of supply, we lose some of our units, and as well as demand increasing, we find ourselves in a situation where we have to implement load shedding. And as you would also understand that we implement load shedding due to the fact that we need to stabilize the grid so that we avoid the grid, or we avoid blackouts. So unfortunately, yes, that's where we are currently. And with the, as I said, that with the demand going high and our supply, losing some of our units, and obviously leading to loss of or shortage of supply, we end up obviously going higher on stages of load shedding. As you would know that, I think during the week as well, from yesterday backwards, we had some little bit of additional supply, and hence we managed to go to stage 5.
Okay, no, that makes sense. But now, still on the issue of supply, like you've mentioned, we're starting to see, or we've been seeing the demand going high. Obviously, as we are approaching the cold winter season, some experts that we've spoken to sometime this week have actually said that, I mean, if you currently, let's say you're having a supply of about 25,000 megawatts, should that drop to about 20,000? We can easily go into, what is called the total blackout. Your view on that, and is that possible?
Yeah. Maybe before I also respond to your question, and just to add on, the statement that I made earlier in terms of, the impact, or what is actually one other big thing that is actually causing the higher stages of load shedding is us also having lost the 3 units at Kusile and the 1 unit at Quebec that is undergoing on a planned outage because of the replacement of the steam generator, or the extension of the life of that of that unit Quebec 1. Yeah, but coming to that question of, us approaching blackouts. So it's not true, Stephen, and hence I mentioned or reiterated and emphasized the point why we actually implement load shedding. So just to reiterate again, that load shedding, we implemented to avoid just that, the blackout, and hence we will obviously reduce a load to ensure that our grid is stable. And even if we go higher on stages, it doesn't mean that actually we are approaching blackouts, but it's just that we are trying to stabilize in terms of demand and what the shortfall of supply is, to ensure that the grid is actually stable and we achieve the necessary frequency on the grid.
Now, many people are also asking the question, what's likely going to happen during the coming cold winter nights and days? What's the prognosis so far? I know and understand that Eskom is yet to give a full detailed briefing or outlook around that in the coming days or weeks.
Look, this winter, yes, we are, and you are correct that we are going to do a media briefing where we will be comprehensively informing the public about the winter outlook. But just in a nutshell is that obviously we are, the system is really severely constrained as it is, as you would know that we are, as I mentioned earlier, that we are on stage 6, and one of the issues that obviously during winter becomes a big issue is obviously the demand. However, in winter as well, as you would know that with our power alerts, we normally report the units that are on planned maintenance. So obviously, as part of our winter plan, which I don't want to go into in detail, but one of the main levers that we use is reduce on our planned maintenance or return to service some of the units that are on planned maintenance, just to get to those megawatts that we may need based on history in terms of demand going up during winter. So yes, the system is severely constrained. And I think, Stephen, what would also help, because as I said, that it's basically an equation of, a shortage of supply, increasing demand. Obviously, you tend to then go into a stage of load shedding, and depending on the margin, then obviously your load shedding obviously stages changes. But as I said, that as Eskom, obviously we do have plans on how to increase some of or how to increase the megawatts during winter. But as well, it is very important that the nation as well, or South Africans also, assist us during this period. We working with a lot of industrial customers and commercial customers, but I think residential as well, we've got a good opportunity of our residential customers assisting us in reducing the stages of load shedding, or actually also the impact of load shedding, or the intensity of, or reducing the intensity of load shedding during winter. And that is one of the main thing that actually can do that without much effort. It's actually just switching off our geysers and our kettles especially during the evening peak hours, or even in the morning peak. But the evening peak are quite crucial, that between 1700 and 2100, we switch off our geysers. And surely that would also, it's a win-win situation as well, because once you switch off your geysers, other than that, as a country will enjoy probably less stages of or lower stages of load shedding. But as well, I think in terms of costs for the customer, it's also a form of a saving to the customer as well. But as I said, that I think we really need that we appeal to our customers during, or the members of the public during this winter season, that we should try and assist in terms of switching off their geysers at peak hours, and that is from 5 o'clock till 9 o'clock. And the kettles as well.
And the kettles as well. And still on that, appeal to your customers. But by how much, let's say in the event that they adhere, to that call, by how much, can that assist Eskom's, strained grid?
Yeah, there's a study, but obviously I cannot confirm the source, but obviously that was made, or that is made, that we may assist by 2 stages of load shedding, or 2000 megawatts actually, if most of the country obviously switch off their geysers. But as I said, that it is a number that I cannot obviously back up with evidence, but we at this particular moment, there is such a study that was done to say that the country may actually assist by 2 stages of load shedding, which is about 2,000 megawatts.
Now, this call, Daphne, for people to use electricity sparingly, it's not something new. You know, this call has been made for quite a number of years up to now. What's the response been so far? You know, are people really, you know, heeding that call?
Yeah, I think in the previous year, we have actually saved about, I think it's 257 megawatts, but obviously over the years, I think we have saved, and now I don't have my figures with me, but I think we have saved about 3,000 megawatts, if I'm not mistaken, you know, over since we started with this program. And as we ramp up, we are looking at more, ramp up the communique and, you know, with obviously the other stakeholders that we're working with. And we are looking into, you know, additional megawatts. I think next year, the financial year, we're looking at about 500 megawatts. But I think we can still do more if obviously more customers join in and assist in terms of, as I said, that, you know, doing small things like just switching off your geysers at the most crucial times.
Now, lastly, still on the issue of you know, the load shedding crisis, what would your message be to customers, you know, who are already frustrated out there, you know, by the endless, you know, rolling blackouts? What would you say to those, in fact, South Africans at large?
Yeah, I think, Stephen, firstly, obviously, we would like to apologize as Eskom, you know, for exposing, you know, the nation to load shedding, and notwithstanding the fact that, you know, we even go to higher stages, as I said, that we currently at stage 6. That's something that really it's not what we want. I mean, as you would know, that our duty is to ensure that we power the country and obviously not load shed, but we find ourselves in that situation of load shedding because we are also, it's a measure of trying also not to get into a blackout. That's one. So one obviously is to apologize to the country for that, and but as well, also to say that, you know, Eskom is trying and working very hard, you know, and obviously not just Eskom, and we've got other stakeholders that are actually bringing their, you know, or raising their hand to assist us, and we are actually open for all the assistance that we may get from obviously other stakeholders. So yeah, as Eskom, we are working on with, as I said, that with other stakeholders, whether it's private companies, to ensure that we, you know, we reduce load shedding, and if ever possible as well, to actually end load shedding. And as you would know, that there's also renewable or IPPs that we also working with in terms of, you know, renewable energy that we are adding into the grid. So basically is to say that you know, we are trying very, very hard to ensure that we end load shedding, so that in the next, as we said, that 2 years it becomes a thing of, you know, or it becomes history, and we at least towards that 2 years, you know, the nation experience at least lower stages of load shedding, and that's something that we really want to inform our nation, to say we are not just sitting and watching as load shedding actually goes up in terms of stages, but we're trying very hard to ensure that these stages are reduced, the intensity as well, and the frequency is reduced, and working with whichever companies or stakeholders that want to work with us and to reduce this crisis. We are open, and we are working with some companies as well to ensure that we we end load shedding at some point.
I know I said that was my last question on with regards to load shedding, but just lastly, something that's quickly popped up in my mind: the weekend. People would like to know what's the prognosis, or is it a bit premature for me to be asking that, or what can you tell us around the weekend?
I think it's a bit premature, because normally we would sit around in the afternoon. I think just after this meeting, I will be sitting with the team so that the system operator to look at where they will inform us of the outlook of the weekend. But generally, as you would know, that weekends normally the demand goes down, and it then leads to load shedding, dropping by either a stage or two. But as for now, I think we will today still inform the public of what the weekend outlook is like.
Right. Now, moving to another headache that Eskom is sitting with, the issue of vandalism on Eskom infrastructure. Just how rife is this? I mean, considering what we've witnessed over the last couple of days in Tshwane, where pylons were seemingly uprooted and damaged in the process.
Yeah. I think it's very, very, I think last year it was even the worst years in terms of, crime or theft and vandalism on our infrastructure. Where, just for an example, in terms of copper replacement, I think we spent about 2 billion rand. So it's really a worrying issue, because it seems like it's now on the rise. Obviously, as you would know, that it's not just the replacement issue that is an issue to us, because normally it affects, obviously, it affects the economy, it affects obviously the revenue, the cost of Eskom as well, having not to save that energy, but as well, obviously, our customers are on top of load shedding, now have to deal with power outages that are as a result of theft and vandalism.
All right. No, thank you so much, Daphne. I think, for now, I'm satisfied with what we have. But thank you so much once again for giving us your time, for speaking to us this afternoon. Really, really appreciate it.